Part 1. When the TV began to whisper. I live in a small town not far from Cleveland, Ohio. It is quiet, dull, and predictable. The kind of American backwater where people know each other by name, and the local news is mostly about store discounts or another school fundraiser. I always thought nothing truly strange could happen here, until recently. My old television, a bulky gray box, came from my grandfather's basement. I brought it home out of curiosity. I liked its retro look, the heavy buttons, and that dusty ozone smell when it turned on. The thing barely caught a few channels, but I mostly used it as background noise when I worked late at night. One night, around midnight, I was flipping through channels when the screen suddenly turned into white static. Just the usual noise, nothing unusual. But after a few seconds, I thought I heard a rhythm in the static, almost like someone whispering faintly through the hiss. At first, I blamed it on exhaustion. I leaned closer. Through the crackling noise, I caught a short phrase. "Are you watching?" I turned off the TV immediately. The silence in the room made it worse. I sat on the bed, staring at the dark screen, feeling the slow crawl of cold along my spine. A few minutes later, I turned the TV back on. Everything was normal. News, ads, the usual. Channel 19 did not even exist. The range ended at 18. But when I clicked past it, the screen came alive again. The same static. But now there was a faint, barely visible silhouette behind it. It looked like someone was standing on the other side of the screen. I heard the whisper again. "I've been waiting for you to turn it on." This time, I did not switch it off. I sat there, listening to the voice fade in and out, breaking into incomprehensible words. It sounded like a child, or a woman, or I am not even sure. What mattered was that it did not come from the speakers. It came from inside the screen itself. I stayed awake for the rest of the night. In the morning, I told myself it must have been interference, maybe an old cable picking up something. But all day, I could not shake the feeling that someone was watching me. Not with eyes, but with something else, as if a presence was lingering nearby, in the air. By evening, I went back to the TV. Channel 19 still existed. And this time, it was not just static. Someone was quietly tapping, as if with fingers on the glass. Part 2. They started to answer. The next evening, I sat in front of the television again. I did not want to, honestly, but curiosity always wins over fear. I wanted to understand what was happening. The room was almost dark. Only the screen lit the walls with that cold, bluish light. When I turned the TV on, the familiar static appeared, but this time it seemed to breathe. The noise came and went uneven, as if someone was moving fabric behind the glass. I pulled out my phone and started recording. I wanted proof, to show myself that this was nothing but light and exhaustion. But when I brought the camera closer, the static changed. Through the flickering white haze, I saw a shadow. I caught a glimpse of a hand, thin, pale, almost made of light. It pressed against the inside of the screen. Then the television clicked. A short, sharp sound, like a knock from within. I jumped back. The noise vanished, and suddenly there were words, plain white letters on a gray background. "Do not record this." My heart began to hammer. I pulled the plug out of the wall, but the screen did not turn off. It kept glowing faintly, as if alive. And I swear, I know how insane this sounds. The words began to change. "We see you." I stumbled backward, nearly tripping over the chair. A cold draft swept across the floor. Outside the window, I heard a faint scraping sound, like someone was standing right there, slowly dragging their fingers across the glass. I looked out. Nothing, only darkness and my own reflection. The soft light of the TV behind me. But when I turned back, the screen was black. No static, just my reflection. And another figure standing right beside me. Part 3. They know my name. I stopped sleeping. Or rather, I tried, but every time I closed my eyes, I saw the screen. The same gray, breathing one, and the hand pressed against it from the inside. After that night, I turned off the TV, put it away in the closet, even pulled the antenna out of the wall. But somewhere between sleep and wakefulness, I could still hear that rustle. Steady, electric. As if someone whispered words that couldn't be understood, right there, in the frequencies between stations. After 3 days, I realized I couldn't take it anymore. I pulled the TV back out, put it in its place, and just sat down in front of it. I didn't even turn it on. It came alive the moment I looked at it. There was no static on the screen, only a flat, warm gray tone. and then letters appeared. Why did you leave? I didn't understand at first that it was a question directed at me. I just stared, afraid to blink. The letters vanished, and a new line appeared. We missed you. I stepped back from the screen, feeling the cold crawl under my skin. My heart was pounding fast, as if trying to warn me, do not look now. But my gaze was trapped. The light from the TV grew warmer. It wrapped the room like a soft blanket. I even smelled something, faint, like ozone after a storm. And suddenly, I heard my own voice. Quiet, tired, as if recorded in advance. You do not want to be alone, right? I froze. It wasn't an echo. It was me, but not in real time. I was speaking, though my lips didn't move. Who are you? I whispered. The screen flickered. A shadow passed behind the glass, and then the words appeared again. We are what you left behind. I didn't understand what that meant, but at that exact moment, the TV shut off. Everything fell silent. I sat in the dark, and then the phone on the table lit up on its own. A new message. No sender name. At 1919 message. We like your apartment. The window is nice. I dropped the phone. Outside. Darkness. But when I came closer, the glass looked fogged up from the inside, as if someone was breathing right there, inches away. I tried to rationalize it. Maybe a virus. Maybe someone's stupid prank. I even thought of calling Jim, an old friend who worked in tech support. But I didn't want to sound insane. That night, I went to bed again, leaving the TV unplugged. But at 3:19, I woke up to a faint light. It was coming from the living room. I knew I hadn't turned anything on. And yet, the screen was glowing. Softly, like breathing. I got up, walked barefoot across the cold wooden floor, and then I heard it. Not noise, not crackling, but voices. Many of them, whispering, yet distinct. Male, female, childlike, all speaking at once, overlapping. I could only make out one word, repeating with every breath. Look. I came closer, and realized the screen was split into 9 small squares, like a security camera feed, each one showing an image. I didn't recognize them right away. The first camera showed the entrance to my building. The second, the stairwell. The third, my hallway. And in the center showed my living room. I was standing right there, in front of the TV. The camera was watching me. What do you want? I asked, feeling my voice shake. On the central screen, letters began to form over the image. Say your name. I didn't get it. What? Say, your name. I didn't say anything. I just stepped back, turned off the light, and in the dark, I heard it. The whisper wasn't coming from the TV anymore. It came from the walls. It moved through the rooms like an electric current. And every word echoed as pain somewhere inside my chest. First quiet, then louder. James. I froze. That was my name. I hadn't told anyone who I was. Not on any site, not in any account. Only the TV. It could see, hear, record. How do you know my name? I almost shouted. The answer came immediately. On the screen appeared the reflection of my room. But I realized it wasn't a reflection. I was standing with my back to the TV. Yet the figure on the screen was facing me. My face, but with a different expression. It was smiling, because we never left. I lunged forward, grabbed the cord, ripped it out. The light didn't go out. It got brighter. From the speakers came a strange sound, like a deep inhale stretched over several seconds. Then, silence. Absolute, heavy, ringing silence. I stood there, in the quiet, and then someone whispered right behind me. Turn around. Part 4. The replay. It's been 6 days since the voice said my name. Since then, I haven't touched the TV. I covered it with an old bed sheet, unplugged every cable, even switched off the power strip. Still, every night at the same time, 3:19, I wake up. Always the same feeling, as if someone has just left the room. I tried sleeping in the bedroom, then in the hallway, then on the balcony. No difference. The static follows. It doesn't come from speakers anymore. It comes from the air itself, dry, electric, like a radio tuned just a breath off frequency. I told myself it was stress, hallucination. But when you start timing the silence, and it responds to your breathing, you stop calling it imagination. Yesterday I noticed something else. When I walk past the covered screen, the fabric moves slightly, like it's breathing underneath. At first I thought it was the draft, but when I stood still, it pulsed in sync with my heartbeat. Tonight I decided to record it. If I'm losing my mind, I need proof. I set up my phone camera on the table, facing the covered TV, and hit record. The room was dark, only the blinking red light on the phone camera visible. I sat down, waited. 1 minute, 2, 10, nothing. Then, a soft sound, like fingertips brushing against glass from the inside. The sheet moved again, slow, almost tender, and then I heard my own voice, coming from the other side of the fabric. "You left us in the dark." I couldn't move. My throat locked. It was my tone, my cadence, exactly as if someone had taken my voice and stripped it of warmth. The camera kept recording. I didn't dare touch it. I just whispered, "What do you want from me?" The sheet went still. For a moment, the silence felt heavy, alive. Then, from behind the fabric, I heard a quiet click, like an old remote being pressed once. The room filled with faint gray light, filtering through the thin cotton of the bedsheet. I could see movement beneath it. Not a figure, not hands, something flatter. It looked like a face pressed against the inside of the screen. Not alive, more like an imprint. Eyes wide open, staring out through layers of fabric and glass. And then I realized the phone on the table was vibrating. A notification. New message from an unknown number. 1919. Video file received. I opened it. It was my own footage. The one I had just been recording. Except, I wasn't in it. In the video, the camera faced the TV exactly as I had set it. But the sheet was gone. The screen was on, glowing softly. Someone was sitting in my chair. Same clothes, same posture. But the head was slightly tilted toward the camera. And when it lifted its face, I saw myself, smiling. I paused the video. The timestamp said 3 hours, 19 minutes, and 0 seconds. Exactly the time I'd started recording. I looked up from the phone. The bedsheet was perfectly still. No light beneath it. No sound. I reached forward slowly, grabbed the corner of the sheet. My hand trembled, pulled it away. One quick motion. The screen was black, completely off. I stared at my reflection for a moment. Just a tired man in a dark room. Then, as I turned to leave, the reflection didn't move. It just stood there, watching me walk away. That's where the footage ends. At least that's what the detective said when they reviewed it. They told my brother that the video stopped recording at 3:19 and 43 seconds. At 3:20, the camera switched off automatically. No sign of struggle. No sign of tampering. Just static. They found my apartment empty. TV unplugged. Phone on the table, battery drained. No signs of forced entry. No signs of violence. Only one detail stood out. The TV screen had a faint handprint on the inside of the glass. Smudged from within, like someone had pressed against it, trying to get out. The police report calls it unexplained disappearance. Neighbors mentioned the sound of white noise late at night. They assumed it was interference. But sometimes, when the signal cuts briefly during a storm, they swear they hear a voice between the static. A man's voice, calm, slow, familiar, whispering, "Can you see me now?" And right after that, Channel 19 goes dark for exactly 19 seconds. Then the broadcast resumes. And if you look closely enough, for just a moment, you might see a faint reflection. Someone sitting in a dark room, staring straight at you through the glass.